Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got another review for you on another Crimson Steel tank, and that is the Hydra IS6. Now this is a tank which can be quite good. Again, it can be quite bad. It depends on the matchup, as always, but it's a pretty okay tank, and if you like hard-hitting Russian heavies, this is probably a good one for you. The armour on it is exactly... actually, I don't know if it is exactly the same. I could be lying there, but yeah. Generally, it's a nice tank. I'd say it's okay. Is it worth picking up for the gold? I'd let you decide on that one, to be honest. Personally, myself, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. I picked it up when all three came in the bundle, because I was like, you know what, they sound interesting, I want to try them. Would I pick it up by itself? Out of choice, looking at it? Probably not. But again, it's not exactly my playstyle, so I don't enjoy it as much as maybe some of you will. And you'll see that from the replays. You'll see what it can do. It can pull off troll bounce. It's exactly the same as the i6 in terms of its the way it plays with its armor. It's just got, I think it's slightly buffed, and it's got a better gun. So let's look at the tank in its stats. So it's got all the 122mm BL13 gun, which is the same gun as the Defender. It's got 700 horsepower per ton, or horsepower, 700 horsepower on the engine anyway. It's got 4.03 rate of fire rounds a minute, which is not that great, really. You consider that a lot of the... I mean, there's a lot of the things like the Scourge, the IS3s and that have 4.88 rate of fire, or 4.91 or 4.7. Now, sure, they've got 390, right? But they've all got better mobility than this has. In a lot of ways, they've got a lot better armor as well, and better gun handling, way better gun handling for the most part. This, yeah, its gun and its gun performance isn't the best. It's what lets the tank down the most, to be perfectly honest. They gave it the same stats as the Defender in terms of its... in terms of its accuracy and aim time, they gave it the same as the Defender, which isn't the best. 0.47 is terrible. 3.4 aim time is about standard for Russian heavies generally, but it's pretty bad. 3.84, and it's one of those things where you aim for 3.4 seconds and you fire with 0.47 accuracy and you miss anyway, and then you've got a long reload on top of that. It's just painful. And my problem with it is when they put this gun on the i6, they should have made it better. Now sure, 4.03 rate of fire is better than what is on the Defender, which is 3.87, but accuracy and aim time is the same. And quite frankly, the Defender is way better than it in terms of its armor performance, and its mobility is probably slightly better as well. They should have, when they put this tank in, what they could have done quite easily is made this gun like 0.35, 0.35? That would have been way too accurate. 0.45 or something like that. 0.45 and 3.2. Make it different to the Defender gun. Just giving it a rate of fire increase of like 0.2 just isn't enough. Or yeah, it's just not enough. It does kind of struggle at times just because of the gun. Like if you get a bottom tier matchup and it's tier 10, because this thing, that's the thing, that's what's different to the IS6 as well. It's the same as the Minotaur. It doesn't have preferential matchmaking. It sees tier 10s, and against tier 10s it does struggle. And one of the reasons, apart from the fact that the armor's not great, is the fact that the gun is so inaccurate that hitting the weak spots and the points that you need to hit, it struggles to do. 225 standard pen, again, pretty damn good. 265 premium pen, yeah, it's alright. It's probably on a par with a lot of heavies. It means you can pen a lot of tier 10s anyway with that premium pen. It's APCR as well, which is always nice. 440 alpha, which is solid. You hit very hard. 26 degrees a second on the traverse, on the turret and the tracks, which, yeah, it's okay, but it's, you know, it means you're just gonna, it's heavy tank traverse. Let's be honest, that is heavy tank traverse. I mean, if you look at the Defender, see, the Defender traverses on its tracks faster than the Hydra, but its turret 2 degrees slower. Same view range. The Defender is just way better. This is probably one you want to pick up instead of the Hydra, if you're going to use this gun and you want that, generally. 150 turret armor on the front and the sides. Is that better? I don't think that is actually better than the IS6. No, it's exactly the same as the IS6. It's pretty horrible turret armor, to be fair. It's easily penned. That's his problem, is it's quite easily penned in the turret. It means you, as soon as you get penned in this turret, you will lose your, like, look at that. If you get shot on your left hand side of your turret or on the right as the tank is facing you, you're probably going to lose your commander and a loader, or your commander and your gunner. They're gone, and that's a big problem. As well as your driver getting shot in the front, that does happen a lot too. So 700 horsepower, 13.54 horsepower per ton. It's not bad for a heavy tank. It does, like I say, it does get up to its top speed pretty well. It gets about quite well. It traverses a little bit slowly, but again, it's a heavy tank, so it will. Here we go, 14.9 base reload. That is really slow. It goes down to about 12 seconds, and it really does feel it. And then, especially when you miss with that .47 accuracy, it's horrible. I don't like the Defender gun for that, just for that reason. Yeah, it's not nice. So you've got 3.4 aim time, 0.47 accuracy. Accuracy on moving the tank is 4.11. That's terrible. That's dreadful. Try not to shoot on the move in this tank. But you do get Russia moments where you do fire and you miss. I mean, you fire and you hit and pen easily, and you'll hit like the thinnest weak spot going. But that's Russian guns. 1.47 on rotating the turret, which is really good. Again, like I say, the bloom doesn't become massive just by turning. 20 degrees of good elevation, which means you can never have, well, you don't really have problems with elevation. 6 degrees of gun depression, that's pretty nice for a Russian heavy. That's okay. Kind of wish it was probably 7, to be honest. Again, just to help it out, but it's only 6 on the original IS6, so yeah, it's in line with that. Let's have a look at, yeah, there we go, that shell velocity. Here we go, 1,000 meters a second on this AP, 1250 on the APCR. Now that's really good. That's really good for a Russian 122. That's really nice. It means it's not really that derpy in terms of its shell velocity, and that's really good. So here we go. The armor, 150 millimeters on the turret. The turret is terrible. If people are firing 240 pen, they'll just go through your front of the turret face dead easily. So if you hull down and you're using your tank to keep them off your frontal armor, it's not. They'll just shoot you through the turret front. And if you see one of these things and you got like 220, 230, 240 pen, shoot turret front, you'll butter it. So 130 mil on the upper plate and 140 on the middle of it. Now, is that better than the IS6? Because I feel like that's one of the things they buffed, quite possibly. So yeah, so they buffed it 100 millimeters on the IS6 and 110 in that middle spot. But on the Hydra, it is 130 and 140. Now again, just buffing it by 20 millimeters on its armor is just not enough for seeing tier 10s and tier 9s as well. And even the tier 8s, they still completely butt this thing through. The old school stuff would have struggled with this. But seeing stuff like Sergeant Slaughters and things that have 220 pen, seeing itself is easy pen in the upper plate. Side scraping in it as well is not too good because that plate there is still flat on for people. So it's just the same as if they were shooting you in the front, so it's not quite as worth. You really want to try and go around a corner and bait like that so they shoot your upper plate and ricochet and miss that. So say that mid plate there that we're looking at directly in the camera and the tracks are covered by a corner. In terms of side scraping, it's not good. But reverse side scraping, I mean, it's 100mm of armor. If you can keep it so they can only see that side bit, you can reverse a little bit, reverse side scrape a bit. But the problem is, again, it's that flat cheek there, that butt cheek. It's 60mm of armor, it just gets penned. The armor on it is not too great. The mobility is okay. It's hard hitting, but the way I've found it myself is it's okay. It's not horrendously bad, but it's not specifically that good. It's not a good all-rounder. It's not good at one thing. The only thing it's got is the high alpha, really. So again, it's one that I probably wouldn't pick up myself. I think out of the 3 in the bundle, the Ragnarok is the one. So, equipment as well. Quick side note, the equipment, I run Rammer, Vertstab's optics, because if you want to see things, well, if you don't want to be blind, basically, because it's only got 350 meters view range, you are blind. You want the optics to be able to see things that can see you. You want to give it every little bit of help it can with its view range. So yeah, I'll let you see how it plays out in the replays. So I'll see you there, guys. So here we are on Prokarovka, and it's not really the ideal map for the Hydra at all, really, to be honest, and that's because of how derpy the gun is. So of course it's going to be a replay where we're sniping in it, and you'll probably see just about how bad the gun can be. I probably wouldn't say, if I remember rightly, this game was the most representative of the gun, because I think I do hit quite a lot of shots that I sit there going, I'd normally miss that. But yeah, as I said, the Hydra it's an okay tank. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. I just think that it could have done with a little bit better stats, or just generally it could do with a bit of love. Like I said, the defender gun on it really needed a bit more than just a bit of a better reload. It needed like better accuracy or better aim time or something like that. So that shot on that Tiger 2 is one that I'm on about. That wasn't fully aimed, and generally probably would never hit that. Now that's point blank, so that's obviously going to fly in. Because obviously that's what this tank wants to be. This tank wants to be an in-your-face brawler. Well, that's the way the gun is designed for the defender. And obviously the defender can do it really, really, really well. But if you're in this thing and you're facing off against stuff like those Tiger 2s and stuff like that, it will struggle. It will struggle with the armour, because the guns with like 220, 230 pen will just kind of wreck this thing quite easily. And that's why it's just not great. Like, the turret armour as well is not very good. The gun depression is quite nice for it, which is why it really helps it on this ridgeline here on Proc, as opposed to other Soviet heavies where they've got like 5 and you really, really struggle with it. That extra degree of gun depression in 6 is really kind of noticeable. So there's some tanks that you might be in, like I think the Scourge has 5, possibly, or the IS6 has 5, where you working that ridgeline really can be a struggle. Now, while I was talking about this game not being that representative of the gun in particular, like, we hit that Vanguard, which is like, if I tried to do that in something like an M60 with .33 accuracy, or even an E50 or a Leopard with .3, I'd never hit that Vanguard. Now I'm using a 122mm Russian inaccurate heavy tank, and I've flipping well hit it so easily. Frustration, right? So here we are, fully aiming the shot on the Tiger P, and bam, straight in. Like, you get this thing fully aimed and it will hit like everything for the most part, but it's one of those guns that you just can't rely on. But as you see, shots are flying in, and when you do manage to hit people with it, it's just so satisfying. It's obviously having that 440 alpha it just feels like you're doing so much to people. Now, we tried to pop up a shot blind at that Tiger P that keeps getting spotted and unspotted, and unfortunately it didn't quite work out. And we are looking for more shots at this Alpine Tiger, but he's not really pennable where he is. And the Tiger 2 is the other option for this. It's been kind of risky with what I'm doing on this ridgeline, because there's so many places I can get shot from here. Obviously, that rock in front of me does cover me a little bit, but is it really going to cover... If they decided to all turn their guns on me, would it cover me really? Probably not. So there we go, we take the first shot of damage, and I'm thinking, what is that? It's that SU-130PM that got spotted just then as well. So that's what I'm on about. If those guys at the back had decided, you know what, we're going to turn our guns on this guy earlier, I wouldn't have been able to affect as much as I have. So again, we're sort of adjusting a position a little bit to try and keep this rock between me and the guys on the train tracks. So they will possibly struggle to see me a little bit more, but it's basically obscuring the shot. Well, if I was more on the right hand side, they'd have had a clear shot at me every time, whereas with me being here, it's more of a case of they've probably got like a 25 to 30% chance shot at me, you know. And that Tiger P at the back down there is still pinging shots at us, and is kind of annoying. But if he's not firing, if he's firing standard like he is, he's going to struggle to pen me, because tanks like the Tiger P and the Tiger, I mean, the IS6 armour is designed for old school, where everything that it meets at tier, well, everything that's below it, tier 7, 6, what have you, will generally have a lot lower pen, and they will quite easily bounce on it. You know, the armour is effective for that thing. And obviously old school armour I'd say old school armour. Old school tanks are designed to be strong against the standard rounds, but the premium rounds probably would affect it a little bit more. And obviously the more everything that's come in new wise has generally got a lot better pen. So the armour becomes a bit less useful. Also, premium round usage is a lot more prevalent now than it was back then. I mean, it was natural that it's going to happen that way, especially when you turn it from being gold only to silver. So, yeah, and obviously that's one thing when they make new tanks. They factor in these things. They factor in the fact that, you know, there might be a lot more premium fire at it, so they create them to be like more withstanding of it, really. As well as that, obviously, it's sort of old school premium ways like the KV5 is of, and like the Minotaur you'll see in the other review that I'm going to be releasing, of having weak spots that are easily penned with everything, which are really prominent. And obviously a lot of tanks now that they release don't tend to have those really, really big prominent weak spots, like the droid, for instance. Now we're making the push. Anyway, we're making the push across here, which is always risky, because those TDs that are still camping at the back, in their bushes, like the Audace, Cannoned Assault 105, whatever it's called, that can easily pen us. It's got what, 268 pen, I believe, and that's ridiculously powerful against us, because they just destroy us. There's no hope. It's like that SU-130PM there. If he decided to, well, I'll say if he decided, if they actually had fired at me, then there's pretty much every chance they're going to go through. And obviously the turret front is pretty poo-pooed, so they can pen it so easily, and that's where it just gets wrecked. And obviously tank destroyers are designed to combat heavy tanks, but yeah, that old ace YOLOs us as well, and he missed us and then rammed us, and it's like, oh, thanks, I guess. So we end that game there. We've got a high caliber, ace tanker, Confederate, 4.7k damage, 670 assistance, 141,000 credits made, because that is one thing that these tanks get, is 75% silver bonus, which means that you make a hell of a lot of money at tier 8, which is, these are some of the best credit earners you'll get. But I find weird that this and the Minotaur, while they do make amazing credits, don't make as much credits as the Ragnarok. The Ragnarok makes great, just, I feel like it makes way more credits than these two do. Whether that's because generally to have a good game, the Ragnarok is a lot easier to do. I feel like getting a good game in the Hydra IS6 and the Minotaur KV5 are exponentially more difficult to do than the Ragnarok. The Ragnarok is quite an easy mode tank, because you drive along, you drop your clip, and you just keep dropping your clip, and you're not really out of the fight for very long, and you can rack up damage really, really quickly in it. Whereas the Hydra, the Minotaur are both more slowly lumbering beasts. They reload a lot slower. They're a lot more inaccurate. They've got to rely on their armour a lot more, which generally doesn't work all that often. So I feel like it's definitely a hell of a lot harder to get those big, good games in it. And certainly I struggled. Like, I think it was the Minotaur particularly, where I did struggle to get that those ace tankers for it, because it's just not my playstyle. And they get wrecked quite easily, to be honest. But that's the way they are. So the Ragnarok is definitely the one for the credit making potential. But besides that, the fact that these tanks do have 75% bonus means that even if you have, you know, not even the best game going, you could probably do just under 2k in the Hydra and make just shy of 100k credits. Just like that, you know. So if you want an easy credit maker, any of these three tanks is definitely the one. And especially if you're a heavy tank player, these are probably the ones you want. So, Sand River. We took the normal position where we can get nice cross shots at people crossing, and now we're going on to these type guys down here. We aimed at the cupola pretty much nearly all the way of that mutant, and unfortunately it didn't go in. This Hellcat 105 has got a death wish, so we get rid of him. And we can just about see that Panther, but we weren't bothering with that. Again, that's too slim a shot for this thing. But as we're about to go round on this mutant, that Churchill 7 got spotted. And he's an easier shot. And he's putting shots across to these TDs behind us, which aren't the most well armoured, I don't think. I think it was an SU-130PM. So, I want to get rid of him. And those rolls are filthily good. But this mutant is pushing, and it's not pleasant because he is firing Prem too, which means that we are just easy pens for him. But we get a nice shot into the tracking wheel of the mutant, break his ammo rack, so obviously he's clearly repaired his ammo rack instead of his tracks. He now clearly wants the SU-130PM, and we shut him down by shooting him in the side, setting him on fire and killing him. Quite a nice roll, quite a nice RNG there to get rid of him. I don't know what he was thinking. I think he just saw the SU-130PM and went, "Ooh, lunch," and then just drive out, just forgot about us. Don't know why. But he gave his life to the cause, so thank you very much, sir. So we're going to push up and push our advantage, really. There's this T-32 in front of us. I've noted that he's definitely stock. If you see a T-32 and you look at it, and it's looking at you, like this guy is, right? He looks like a Pershing. If the turret looks like the Pershing turret, where the gun mantlet is more rounded, you can easily pen it. It's only about 100mm? No, 120mm, something like that, I don't know. It's like the T-32A turret is, where it's just quite easy to pen. If you've got like 170, 180, 190 pen, you will pen the front of the T-32 stock turret. And it looks like rounded. So obviously the fully upgraded T-32 turret is like, it's more square and boxy. And that's where it becomes an absolute hull down god. But when it's stock, it's terrible, like that. So, we got rid of him by tracking him and getting the assistance on it. And now we're stuck in a kind of funny position. And that's because we've got this Scorpion here. We've got another medium in that dip in front of us. There's an SU-130 PM behind us. We're stuck in a horrible crossfire. And I'm really hoping this Scorpion doesn't pop over and finish us. But fortunately enough for me, I managed to shut him down. But then, thankfully, that 46 gets shut down. We turn our armour to the Thunderbolt. And then we pop a shot into him. And then we see the SU-130 PM coming in. We're like, okay, we'll spin our armour around to him. Luckily, he YOLOs a shot in and bounces. And then while he's stuck, we're popping a nice HE shell into his structure and kill him. Set him on fire. And that was because of the HE shell. And while we were doing that, we were turning to face the Thunderbolt. And that's because the Thunderbolt has no hope of penning us if he's got our frontal armour. And to be honest, I don't know why I didn't turn sooner after the SU-130 PM had fired. But my main thought was to get rid of that SU-130 PM first, because he was the danger to me. Because he would have killed us had he penned us. But after he'd fired, he wasn't a threat anymore because we out-reload him, and Thunderbolt has a terrific rate of fire. And he would have killed us with the shots on our side and our rear. So we're coming up here now, and this is where candid teamwork is going to save us. It's something you don't often get, and it's always really refreshing when it happens. So their light tank, the Becky Lynch, has just killed our artillery. This Ariete's here, and I'm like, okay, I need to shut him down. We get a bit lucky that that went in, because I really snapped my aim way past him. But right, we've got this medium tank behind us, and I'm kind of like, help me, please. This Arietes has been a bit bold. I pop a nice shot into him. He bounces on us. Again, his standard pen on us, our super well-angled frontal armour, he's not going to pen it. But yeah, he blows his load into the Pantera. And the Pantera comes and saves the day for us. He keeps us alive. Because if we were alone there, that Progetto would have rushed us. Because he hesitated, that Progetto. He popped the first shell in, bounced. But then he saw the Pantera spot. Well, he spotted the Pantera and went, oh god, and pulled back again. So if that Pantera wasn't there, I'd have died. We'd have lost the game. So thankfully, because the Pantera came and joined me to help me, we could basically win that situation we were in right there. So now there's just the Becky in the cat. And he spots me, which is really annoying, but he's just over there. And we're going to see if we can pop the shot at him, but I mean, if we ever hit that, to be honest, I'd have been amazed because of the gun accuracy, and it was a really slim shot. But yeah, because of that Pantera, we basically won the game and his help in the end. So we end that game, 218,000 credits made, there you go, fantastic credit earning potential. Ace Tanker, high caliber, steel wall, Spartan medal, because we ricocheted some lovely shells after, well, we just ricocheted some lovely shells. 2.3k base. Like I say, on the whole, it's a tank that's okay. Would I recommend picking it up out of the three? It'd be the second one I'd say to pick up. Ragnarok always. But yeah, it's an okay tank. If you like the IS6, you'll definitely like this tank. The only problem with it is it's not got pref, and what it gains for losing the preferential matchmaking probably isn't worth it. So, as always everybody, I hope you enjoyed the review, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.